Team Masterstroke, you there? Yeah. Good evening, everybody. And this is Brijesh Dalmia from Masterstroke. Thank you so much, all of you, to join in. And as I speak, every second, a few people are joining in. And thank you so much, Ashish, for joining in. Welcome, Ashish.
Thank you. Thanks, Brijesh. And thanks, ICISF, for conducting this session.
Wonderful. Friends, thank you so much for uh, giving such a warm welcome to Ashish. And let me give you a very brief, although he doesn't need any introduction, but a very brief introduction of Ashish Bhai. Is a very dear friend, long-term friend. We know each other for what, maybe 15, 20 years now, and we meet very often in various forums. But let me do some justice by giving you a very brief introduction. Ashish is a chartered accountant and a certified financial planner, and he is the founder of SLA Finserv Private Limited. He manages more than, hold your breath, 1,200 crores in mutual fund business with 6,500 clients with 19 crore of SIP book. I have never heard of these numbers. And Ashish, this makes Ashish one of the largest mutual fund distributor in the country with one of the largest sales team in the country. He has a team of 35 people, out of which 17 people are into sales. And so आशीष से बढ़िया शायद इंडिया में कुछ ही लोग हैं, आशीष उन कुछ लोगों में है पूरे इंडिया में जिनके पास इतनी बड़ी सेल्स टीम है और जो इस प्रोग्राम को करने के लिए बेस्ट person. Ashish is the best person to do this event of developing a sales team because he manages 17 people with 1,200 crores. And he's a mentor to all his team members. And I have been into his office, and the way he treats his employees and his team members and his the entire office is unbelievable. So we will have a good learning from Ashish. And Ashish started his mutual fund distribution business, and that is also very interesting. He was an investor and then converted himself into a distributor in 2004. And he has been very active with MFD, sharing his practice. And today he is at Masterstroke in association with ICICI Prudential. We are doing this program, and he will be sharing his insights on his business success story and how to develop a good sales team. Over to you, Ashish.
Thank you so much, Brijesh, and welcome everyone on board. And thanks, ICICI, once again for having this wonderful session. And I'm really humbled to have such an august gathering. So before I just take it forward, let me just share my screen so that we take it further from here. Yeah. So here we go. In terms of so. Is that visible? I guess everyone here.
Yes, everything is perfect, Ashish. Please go on.
Yeah. Okay. So developing a sales team. I just call it as being good to great. And how do we really transform ourselves? How do we really take us to the next ladder of going from goodness to greatness? Something all the people who are here joined us are actually doing good in their area, in their city, in the state where they are. The idea is now to actually go to that greatness level, and how few of the mutual fund distributors have actually come to a higher level of distribution. So I'd like to share my perspective on this entire aspect. Now, before I actually take it further, I just want to have an brief understanding of how the kind of learning I had from many of the distributors I met in last 2 decades. I've been very, very fortunate over the course of not only Brijesh, you, but I met so many other distributors all across India from various fraternity, from various forums, as to how their journey has been, how they have been doing it. And actually, many of my learnings have been from their stories altogether. But there's one thing which I can clearly distinguish between few of the distributors who are doing really wonderful and others is that very, very few were entrepreneurs. Very, very few were entrepreneurs. When I say entrepreneur, means solving a business problem. Very, very few were entrepreneurs. Most of them were distributors. They are doing their job in so-called in accounting terms or in income tax terms, we can call them they were entrepreneurs. But when I talk to them, there were very few who were entrepreneurs. They started as I said, most of them started with a great vision. Doing, that, we want to achieve this, we want to, there were many who were bankers, there were many who were there from LIC background, there were many who were there from some job, they had some parental, some ancestral business, some second generation business. So they all started with a vision. But eventually, many of that vision actually faded with time. it just did not continue to grow over a period of time. And what I felt, the higher they climbed, the terrified they become. You know, getting a new SIP, meeting a new clientele, meeting a new prospect wasn't giving them that much energy. What energy it used to come before. अब अगर कोई 5,000 10,000 की SIP लाते हैं, it's like, oh God, I have to. I'm like, earlier if you get a call from a client, you're like, oh wow, there's a call from Ashish. Oh, I need to go and meet him now. But now, if after a few years, when you got a call from Ashish, he's like, let's say Ashish is a client. He's like, oh, there's a call from Ashish. क्या हो गया? कोई problem तो नहीं है? I don't know what he's going to say. I have no idea. So those are the higher they climb, the energy level went down. And in fact, I would say they were more terrified they became. So when I talk to many of them, I would say there were not many of people that I meet in a fraternity, the exhaustion, thakan hai, they're kind of not there and with that same energy level where they used to come Monday morning to their offices. That energy level actually, has actually gone down. And there was exhaustion for literally everywhere. And that exhilaration, that excitement to be in office, to actually do something great, that so-called animal instinct, that was kind of a rare event. That was not very much which I could see all along. There was that excitement. And see, unless you are not excited about something, it's difficult to create a very differential thing in the world. It's okay to be average, but to actually come to the greatness, you always have to have the excitement level with you guys, with everyone. So, what went wrong, that is what I would first share, and then probably I'll take it further. So when I say exhilaration to exhaustion, and I would just like to take you to that journey of many of the people that I've been with, I've spoken with, that, as their AUM went up with the time, as their AUM went up, जैसे वो, where they started with a 5 crores, then it went to 10 crores, it went to 15, 20, 25, 30. And it, as the AUM and the SIP book is actually going up, they are feeling more and more excited. Yes, I'm going to do this, that. And their excitement level actually goes all the way up. And they are all like, now I can do, the vision is still there. Vision is still there. Yes, my aim is 50 crore, now my aim is 70 crore, now I'm going to go to 150 crore. So let's say from 0 to 50, I've come in 3 years, or maybe 0 to 4 years. So next 4 years to start visualizing that probably next 4 years, I'll go from this 50 to 115, go up and up and up and up. But actually, it doesn't happen that way. And that dream actually goes down. And they're stuck. And instead of now going up, the kind of speed that they had, that 0 to 50 kind of acceleration that they had, 50 is just an arbitrary number. It can be 20, it can be 75, it can be 120. And just giving that, after some point in time, their rate of growth starts to go down. And that is where the big time worry comes up. Now what? Getting more client into the system, getting more people into the system, that becomes more and more difficult. The challenges, the operations, everything around what used to be an excitement actually has become a nightmare. The operation activity, people come and say, pata nahi subah aate hain, shaam ko jate hain, pata nahi time kahan nikal jata hai. And that is where they get stuck. And after some time, that fear actually goes into disparity, and then they say like, chodo yaar, I think so, that's how it is. I have, then many of them have kind of given up. And this is a typical, what I would call a graph of how they go up at a very, very high speed, reach to a particular point. And from there, the growth of speed actually is more of NAV growth rather than the unit growth. The unit growth is not happening because the first level of growth happened with the unit and the NAV growth. But the second level of the growth is primarily happening because of the NAV growth. AUM is going up, but is not matching up with the unit growth. And the unit growth is not happening. And there's a lot of the same amount, there's a lot of redemption, there's a lot of change of broker happening, there's a lot of SIPs being closed, and the number of units which are getting added back into the system, that is not happening with the pace at which it should happen. The pace at which the industry is actually rising. And at some point in time, they kind of, they're not able to figure it out what the problem is, and then they start to go down the ladder. And that's where, things actually start to happen. Now, when I say many of them were not entrepreneurs. No, essentially, for to be an entrepreneur, what I clearly believe, and that's what Grow with Ashish actually says, from everything to nothing. You know, when we start, we actually are kind of P2B. You know, peon bhi main hu, proprietor bhi main hu, president bhi main hu. Is I'm kind of P2P model. I'm doing literally everything. I'm doing my back end. I'm opening the office. Shutter bhi office ka main aake kholta hu, shutter bhi main down karke jata hu. I'm opening my office. I'm doing the back end activity. I'm going and meeting clients. I'm actually, going to the AMC's office, doing this, maybe punching the transaction. Everything is actually even I have done it. But if I look back 19 years of what I have done over a period of time, is that I did literally everything what is happening in my office right now. But what I actually did, that I kept on leaving everything. And today, what I would say that the journey of 19 years is, when I say nothing doesn't mean nothing. Nothing means that, it's just cliche to say that, I have to leave many things over a period of time. I have to leave, I have to let go things. And that everything to nothing, the journey is what 19 years was, what I was, when I traveled that, everything to nothing kind of journey. That journey actually helped me grow with my team. तो अगर मैं सारा काम खुद करते रहता तो शायद I probably would not have grown. And when I talk to the MFDs all across India, that is where the main problem is, that they are the person who is responsible for literally everything to anything in their office. And till the time that is happening, you will get, burdened with activities which are non-productive, or maybe activities which are productive, but maybe they don't really need your attention, and maybe that attention can be taken by someone else. But it's all fine to do when it comes to backend. So what happens is we essentially get into this. So what I call it is a simple, we need to. It's not only about, when I say, giving about work, doing all the things, not doing all the things. What primarily we do is, then the second level of development happens in organization is, then we create a backend. So now I'm not opening my office. There's a peon to open the office. There's a runner boy who goes to the AMC office, deposits the forms, does everything, gets the checks collected, XYZ. And there is something which is wherein I have some backend person who actually manages my transactions and the client query. So unfortunately, that backend person also keeps changing from one to another person, and then there's a further chaos which is happening. So what is important here is actually to think, rather than that Ashish is working, you have to start thinking that an organization should work, and there should be a structure, a proper structure should be given to an organization. Now that is very, very critical, to start thinking that Ashish, you are not SLA. And SLA and Ashish are two different PAN numbers, two different entities. They have two different roles to play. But the moment I am not able to define or able to differentiate between what Ashish is and what is SLA, that is, and if I have that Bhelpuri kind of thing where things are not defined, that is where the clutter starts to happen. That is where even the team, or whosoever we have as an employee or a team, they also start to feel what are we doing here. So one thing very, very clear, that Ashish is different and SLA is different, and that mindset has to be very clear, because Ashish needs are different and SLA's needs are different. So what happens most of the time is, when Ashish comes to SLA, Ashish thinks what Ashish needs is what SLA needs, and what SLA needs is what Ashish needs, and that is where the trouble starts to happen. So
Ashish, if you can combine Hindi, English, both people are required.
Okay, fair enough. So देखिए ये सबसे बड़ी डिफरेंशिएट है, जिसको मैं जनरली मैं बिजनेसमैन को भी बोलता हूँ कि have different balance sheet, have a clear understanding that आपकी बैलेंस शीट अलग है, आपकी नीड्स लायबिलिटी अलग है, और कंपनी की नीड्स लायबिलिटी अलग है. तो ये जो जब आप मेंटली इसको पहले तो आप ब्रेकअप करके अलग अलग रखते हैं, दैट इज वेयर यू से ओके, अब मुझे अलग अलग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्ट्रक्चर बनाना जरूरी है. तो मैंने से ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्ट्रक्चर बनाना जरूरी है. अभी तक व्हाट हैज हैपेंड, हम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्ट्रक्चर में ये करते आए हैं कि देयर इज आशीष, there is a runner boy and there is an operation team. हम organization में यही बनाते आए हैं. But having said that, see, when you look at an organization, when I say how actually I create an organization structure, so I have to have a very clear thing, and one is what I call it 3 mantras. और जब तक ये नहीं सी, I'll tell you, it's a very, very basic thing. 3 mantras of my life, whatever I've understood right from 2004 till now, जो मैंने समझा है. 1, I need to learn how to delegate. Second, I need to learn how to delegate. And third, I need to learn how to delegate. ये जब तक मैं डेलीगेशन नहीं सीखूंगा, और डेलीगेशन ये देना कि उसको काम करना ही केवल है, नहीं, उसको काम करवाने का तरीका कैसे आना है. एंड आई थिंक द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज इज, मुझे सीखना जरूरी है कि डेलीगेशन देना कैसे होता है, और यहाँ मुझे गलती होती है. सो व्हेन जब मैं 3 लोगों में था तब भी मैं गलती करता था, मैं जब 13 लोगों में था मैं तब भी गलती करता था. Today, if I am at 35 people, still I'm making mistake. But every time when I delegate, and I know next level of work that I have to delegate, I make a mistake. I learn, okay, this is possibly not the way to delegate it further. And again, I have to keep organization in mind, which I'll be talking कि organization structure के लिए मैंने क्या-क्या चीजें सोची थी दिमाग में. So what I say is, problem is we want to literally hold everything in control with us, and that is where the delegation doesn't happen. And what I clearly say, आप ऊपर तभी जा सकते हो जब आप हल्के हो जाते हो. The more I let it go, the higher the I rise. मैं जितना पकड़े रहता हूं उतना तकलीफें आती. And that is one thing, as I said, there is something that you have to learn, is to learn how to delegate. Now, having said that, I'll actually come and talk about कि delegation मैंने कैसे कैसे किया है, जो मैंने step थोड़े बहुत लिए हैं. But what I'm trying to say is this, and internalize this thing very well. आपको हर वो काम जो आप आज कर रहे हो, कल आपको किसी को देना है. And the moment I say आज, फिर जो आज आप काम कर रहे हो, जो कल आप काम करोगे, परसों किसी को देना है. And that process of continues to grow up, so that you can create more people under you, create more jobs under you, create more key responsibility area under you. That is what will happen. So you have to start thinking everything that you're doing today have to be done by someone else tomorrow. And that is what I possibly am trying to do every day that I come in office, that I need to delegate this also, that also, and all this. Now, when I say delegate, हम क्या करते हैं? Delegate करते हैं, जैसे कहता है कि भैया responsibility. Now I'm specifically talking on sales terms. हमने डेलीगेट कर दिया. अभी तो डेलीगेट क्या करता है? बैक एंड के ऑपरेशन. हाँ भैया, ये क्वेरी सॉल्व कर देना, ये क्लाइंट का ट्रांजैक्शन लगा देना, यहाँ से चेक लेकर आना है, ये करना है. We actually do not delegate ownership of clients to others. How I've been able to develop my sales team is actually that I have actually transferred ownership of few of my clients to my other people and said, okay, now you will start to own this thing. देखिए, इसमें एक 80-20 रूल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. Now, how actually I did that, this delegation. See, in every organization, whether it's your or mine, there's एक चीज बहुत कॉमन है, हमेशा 80-20 रूल है कि आपके 80% जो क्लाइंट्स होते हैं वो 20% बिजनेस दे रहे हैं, और 20% जो क्लाइंट हैं वो 80% बिजनेस दे रहे हैं. So investment done by 80% of the client are actually 20%, and rest 80%, 20% clients are giving me 80% business. So what I started doing was that I started leaving the bottom 20% of my investments, which are 80% of my client, because that used to take major amount of my time. I started leaving them. मैं उनको छोड़, ऐसा नहीं है मैंने किसी आरएम को रखा और उसको मैं बोलूंगा जाओ जाके क्लाइंट ढूंढ के आओ. नहीं. See, the first step towards building a team is to say why you want to have team, because see, by and large, every MFD has 200 to 500 clients. अमूमन when I talk to people, 200, 300, 400 client होते हैं, but practically you can manage 100 clients effectively, और बाकी के नीचे के 100, 150, 200, 250, 300 client जो भी होते हैं वो आप मैनेज नहीं कर रहे हो. वो जब कभी आते हैं तो आप उनको देख लेते हो, नहीं तो हम नहीं देख पाते. And at the same time, what we are doing, we're adding more and more client by references or by some other means. So what I essentially did, step I did was that having a salesperson in my team was my need, so that वो जो नीचे के bottom of the pyramid 80% client है, which possibly used to give me 20% of my business, I started giving those set of people to my people below me. I'll come कि उनको मैंने चालू कैसे कराया. But I started giving them. But when I say I started giving them means I actually did a transfer of ownership. When I say transfer ownership means what? तो जब भी वो बिजनेस उन 80% क्लाइंट से, मतलब जिन पीपल whom I transferred them, ARN तो कोड एक ही लगता था, but when I transferred them, whatever new business that they are going to get from them, it used to get recorded in their sub broker code or their EOIN, whatever, you know. So उनके कोड में, उनके सब ब्रोकर कोड में, उनके EOIN में जाने लगा. And I used to share. I'll come about sharing also sometime later, but that's what I did, because otherwise also I'm not meeting those 80% of the client. I'm not justifying with that higher number of clients. They give me lesser number of business, and that's where I started giving them. So it did not really give me too much of trouble at my end to initialize it. And importantly, I started learning how to handle team. See, it's a learning process for me also. So I started learning that as well. When I say transfer of ownership, many times when I speak to many of the distributors, they say, if I hire an IRM, you know, he'll have to get his clients. No, it doesn't work that way. You hire an RM because you have the problem of plenty. आपके पास ज्यादा क्लाइंट है, आपके पास प्रोस्पेक्ट और भी आ रहे हैं, आपके पास उनके पास भी टाइम देना है. तो नीचे के जो पिरामिड में जो नीचे क्लाइंट्स हैं, उनको you have to have someone whom they can talk with and give that person to that person, give that clients to those RMs. And as I said, ownership. Many other distributors that I spoke with, well, yes, we also give clients and we tell them, ये client आपको manage करना है. But what is happening is they are only giving them salary. They are not giving them that. When I say ownership means वो salary दे रहे हैं, और at one point in time, after maybe 6 months, 1 year, they will give you some calculation incentive that no one will know कि उन्होंने calculate किया कैसे. Now that the RM who is dealing with you, dealing with that client, he actually doesn't feel like owning that client. उसका नहीं है, उसको लगता है सर ही देख रहे हैं. तो फिर वो उस शिद्दत से, उस मेहनत से वो काम ही नहीं करता उसके साथ. What we really do, हम बकायदा, there is a transfer of client, ownership of client. There is an email sent from my one department to saying, okay, now this client, let's say Mr. Brijesh Dalmia is a client who was with Ashish Modani, will now be catered by Mr. let's say Saurabh. तो हम ट्रांसफर करते हैं इंटरनली, एंड देन एवरीथिंग फिर वो अपने ही लॉगिन आईडी से उसी क्लाइंट का पोर्टफोलियो देख पाता है. So these are the kind of an system that we create to give them that ownership. Very importantly, giving them ownership. Ownership does not mean उनकी ARN डाल रहे हैं, ARN हमारा ही है, but giving them a sub broker kind of an ownership. So that is become very, very critical. Now the point is, then we come to incentivization structure. कि अगर मैंने उनको ownership दे दी है, so when I've given them that ownership, how do I incentivize them? Now this is a tricky issue. Now see, what I have done is not necessarily to be done by everyone. So in fact, I have been changing my incentive structure right from 2006-07. From that time on, I started having team. I've been changing my incentive structure. But see, I'll tell you, I'll broadly मैं आपको बता देता हूँ कि incentive structure बनाते कैसे. Is that first, when you look, जब एक नए RM को लाते हैं, so the new RM, he would not understand trail model day one. For him to build up to that trail, to reasonable amount of trail every month on month, वो उसको बहुत समय लग जाएगा. So what we actually do is, हम लोग 2-3 साल की जो हमारा फ्यूचर में ट्रेल आएगी, उसको प्रीपोन करके उसको कुछ इंसेंटिव स्ट्रक्चर बिल्डअप कर देते हैं. मे बी ओके, इफ यू गेट 1 लाख रुपीज SIP फ्रॉम 50 क्लाइंट्स हु हैव बीन ट्रांसफर्ड टू योर ओनरशिप. अगर मान लीजिए आप 1 लाख रुपए के SIP लाते हैं उस 50 क्लाइंट से whom we are transferring you the ownership now, let's say in a month, then you will get 3,000 rupees. So now apart from salary, you are actually getting that 1 lakh rupees. When you're doing that SIP of 1 lakh rupees, you're getting 3,000 rupees. Okay, if you do 1,50,000 rupees SIP, maybe you'll get 5,000 rupees. You get 2 lakh rupees SIP, you will get, let's say, 10,000 rupees, or let's say 8,000 rupees. No, so those are the things that we'll try and build with the initial level of RM. So the RM who are smaller, they're just starting rather, so that they are able to see, they are able to smell the, they are able to taste the blood. हाँ उनको कुछ मिलने लग जाता है, या काइंड ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग, ओके दे कैन गेट 5,000 6,000 rupees SIP from those smaller clients, talk to them, meet them often and all, and they can meet their expenses. And over a period of time, once we know that is sub broker code mein या इस EOIN code में there is some sort of AUM which is actually built in. There is a reasonable amount of, let's say 15-20 lakh rupees SIP is already come into the system. Now that is where we start turning them into trail model also. Okay, so like up to 10 lakh rupees, there's a 10%, 15% trail of what we get. Up to 15 lakh rupees, up to 20 lakh rupees, let's say 20% trail. Up to 30 lakh rupees of SIP. So we in our office, we kind of link everything with SIP model. Okay, तो कुछ there's some sort of structure जो आपको कुछ ना कुछ लेके चलना पड़ेगा. Actually, I said maybe I am doing right or maybe I am doing wrong. People have to judge कि उनके लिए क्या सूट करेगा. But what I have done is to link the levels of trail with their SIP amount that they have into their kitty. So up to, let's say 10 lakh rupees, 10% of trail, up to 20 lakh rupees, 20% of trail, up to 30 lakh rupees, 30% trail, and kind of we increase up to 50% of the trail that we get to them. And that's how they start to become, from an employee model where they initially come in, they actually turn into a partner model. So today I have a couple of my senior RMs who are actually handling SIP worth more than 1.5 crore rupees individually. They're handling it. So they are senior RMs in my office, but now they are at a very different level altogether. Unki zarurat alag hai, unki problems alag hai, and all these things. So as I said, incentivization is more to do with, unki initial zarurat kya hoti hai, and once they get kind of stabilized, then we move them to a trail model. Because initially trail model becomes, because it's not too much visible to the young guys. They'll get 200 rupees or 300 rupees or maybe at times 80 rupees, 90 rupees. They would not be able to understand that is where I would say, as an entrepreneur, I am investing my money into this business so that after 3, 4, 5 years, we are able to see this organization at a much different level. So that's as I said, thinking like an entrepreneur rather than thinking कि मैं आज business लाऊंगा, मैं आज क्या कमाया. So I have to actually invest back into my business by helping the new RMs to sustain for maybe 2, 3, 4 years kind of thing. That's how I do my incentivization structure. Now, how actually I build RM. तो ऐसा नहीं है RM की वो कोई बाहर से RM लेकर आता हूँ. No, it actually what happens is, by and large, in fact, all my RMs, by and large, most of my RMs, 95% of my RMs today out of 17 are one who were earlier service relationship manager. Matlab they were a back-end operation people. So from our back-end operation people, they actually went on to become my assistant. So they used to handle few of my relationship. Okay, maybe go and meet them. I used to take them along. So from a back-end operation people, I graduated them to an assistant relationship manager. And then once they kind of got a hang of how to deal with your client, how to talk, kaise baatein karni, kaise milna hai, unki problem ke solve karni hai, and then maybe they start to get reasonable level of business. That is where they move from an assistant relationship manager to a relationship manager. So now there have to be a growth path. As I said, we need to define a career path into the minds of people कि देखो तुम ये करोगे तो ऐसे होगा, वो करोगे तो ऐसे होगा, and that's how you rise from service manager to relationship assistant relationship manager to a relationship manager. And obviously at every different level there is a different level of whether it's my service relationship manager or an assistant relationship manager or maybe relationship manager, in some के कुछ ना कुछ incentivization structure है. Every one of them have some sort of कुछ ना कुछ है इनके incentivization. ऐसा नहीं केवल सैलरी देते हैं, कुछ ना कुछ दो, so that they start to feel okay, we are working in an organization जो कि growth oriented है और उसकी growth के साथ हमारी भी development है. So that is very very critical. Now just to give you my कि आशीष के अभी ऑफिस में SLM में क्या होता है. So आशीष है जो कि देखिए मान लीजिए CEO है या फिर एक सीनियर RM है. ना मैं CEO की बात नहीं करूंगा, मैं बोलूंगा सबसे बड़ा RM आज की तारीख में नहीं हूँ. But so आशीष as an RM के पास एक ARM है, मतलब उसके पास एक असिस्टेंट रिलेशनशिप मैनेजर है और उस असिस्टेंट रिलेशनशिप के अंडर में सर्विस रिलेशनशिप मैनेजर है. तो जैसे एक आर्मी में यूनिट होती है कि इस यूनिट के पास एक रसोई का भी होगा, डॉक्टर भी होगा, उसका ड्राइवर भी होगा, तो एक बेसिकली सेल्फ सफिशिएंट यूनिट होती है. तो व्हाट वी क्रिएट इज, मैंने एक यूनिट बना दी कि 200 क्लाइंट हैंडल करने के लिए आपको एक असिस्टेंट आरएम चाहिए, एक आरएम चाहिए, एक असिस्टेंट आरएम चाहिए और एक सर्विस रिलेशनशिप मैनेजर चाहिए। तो एक टीम बना दी। सिमिलरली एज आई सेड आई हैव 2 सीनियर रिलेशनशिप मैनेजर, तो उनके अंडर भी एक एआरएम है, असिस्टेंट मैनेजर है, एक है सर्विस मैनेजर है, दूसरे सीनियर रिलेशनशिप मैनेजर के अंडर भी एक एआरएम है, असिस्टेंट मैनेजर रिलेशनशिप मैनेजर है और एक एसआरएम है। और जो छोटे हैं, जो छोटे आरएम है, इनकी एसआईपी बुक होती कम है, उनके पास केवल एक सर्विस रिलेशनशिप मैनेजर। तो सी व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, इफ यू सी दिस स्ट्रक्चर, आप ये देखेंगे मैं कम से कम 7-8 लोगों को फ्यूचर आरएम बनाने के लिए ट्रेन भी कर रहा हूं। Now all my assistant RMs and service RMs in some point in time they know that they can actually be transferred from this level to, let's say, service level to assistant level to a full fledged RM level. वो elevate कर सकते हैं अपने आप को, and there is obviously within the organization they learn कि दूसरा तीसरा कैसे आगे बढ़े। तो एक तरीका आप एक लैडर बना सकते हो, उनको एक ग्रोथ पाथ दिखा सकते हो कि देखो धीरे धीरे आप आगे बढ़िए। And that's why you have to start, showcasing them. आपको at any point in time मुझे एसएलए को भी बेचना पड़ता है कि भैया आप देखो एसएलए में आपकी ग्रोथ पाथ कैसे हो सकती है। तो हमें ये भी दिखाना पड़ेगा, जैसे हम क्लाइंट को एक ओवर पीरियड ऑफ 5-10 ईयर्स की कंपाउंडिंग दिखाते हैं, तो शायद कहीं ना कहीं हमें वो कंपाउंडिंग इम्पैक्ट हमारी टीम को भी दिखाना है कि आप कैसे ग्रो कर सकते हो ओवर पीरियड इन दिस बिजनेस ऑल्सो। तो दिस बिकम वेरी एसेंशियल नाउ। पर जब भी मैं बात करता हूँ डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर से, तो उनको लगता है यार ये आप सिखा दोगे फिर वो चले जाएंगे, तो फिर क्या होगा, तो वो भाग जाएंगे, अपने ही क्लाइंट मिल लेंगे, हमसे मिलेंगे ही नहीं, वो बिजनेस लेकर खुद ही चालू कर लेंगे। सी व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन बैंक, कितने आरएम। सो देखिए ये मेरे साथ भी हुआ। Would I say this has not happened with 19 years in my business? Yes, it has happened. But having said that, I am able to speak to you even after all the so-called drawbacks I had in last 19 years. So ऐसा नहीं है drawbacks नहीं होंगे. But having said that, I have two things to say. Do I have a choice? ऐसे तो मैं बढ़ भी नहीं सकता. And second, it's not about having just choice. So अब I will go to the point कि what is that? See, जैसे आप इक्विटी में होते हो तो रिस्क तो होती है, बट व्हेन यू टेल क्लाइंट्स कि बिना इक्विटी, मतलब इक्विटी में हो तो रिस्क है, बट वो रिस्क लिए बिना तो आप कभी आगे भी नहीं बढ़ पाओगे। सिमिलरली आई से टू एमएफडीज आल्सो, देखिए टीम है तो रिस्क है, पर बिना टीम के आगे भी नहीं बढ़ पाओगे। तो आप क्या करना है, टीम तो रखनी पड़ेगी। सो यू विल हैव टू टेक दैट कॉल। नाउ ओनली थिंग इज रिस्क मैनेजमेंट कैसे करना है, आपको वो सीखना पड़ेगा। ये रिस्क को मैनेज कैसे करना है, हाउ डू आई एलिमिनेट रिस्क, हाउ डू आई रिड्यूस रिस्क। एलिमिनेशन नहीं कर सकते, रिडक्शन कैसे कर सकते हैं, वो सीखना पड़ेगा। तो उसके लिए सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट बात ये है दैट यू शुड नो व्हाट इज योर यूएसपी। वो कोहिनूर का हीरा आपके पास क्या है जो आपकी यूएसपी। योर यूएसपी कैन बी अंडरस्टैंडिंग टेक्निकलिटीज ऑफ द मार्केट, योर यूएसपी कैन बी अंडरस्टैंडिंग द बेस्ट स्कीम ऑफ द मार्केट, योर यूएसपी कैन बी, मैं बोलता हूँ मे बी I can take sessions very well. I can hold on to the crowd when जब IIP लेता हूँ तो I can do that. I know behavior finance, मतलब जितना मैं करता हूँ मुझे लगता है मैं behavior finance अच्छे से मैनेज कर लेता हूँ। तो कुछ यूएसपी आपको बनानी पड़ती है। सी आप उस टीम जो होती है वो उस यूएसपी के आसपास फिर रिवॉल्व करती है, लाइक सन, जैसे प्लैनेट रिवॉल्व करते हैं सन के आगे। तो आपकी यूएसपी इतनी स्ट्रांग होनी चाहिए कि उसके आगे फिर चीजें वो रिवॉल्व कर सके। That gravitational pull will come only from a USP. आप किसमें माहिर हो, कोई तो चीज होगी जिसमें आप सुपर हो, वो ढूंढना जरूरी है। क्योंकि you can't be jack of all and then run. You have to something very special, and every one of us have something special जो हमारे में यूनिक है, जो दूसरा नहीं कर सकता है। What we have to do is to start working on that thing like anything, and then with that in mind, start building a team and structures around you. तो वो हर किसी को अपनी एक आइडेंटिफाई करनी पड़ती है। आई नो मेनी पीपल, मेनी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स वर फिनोमिनल इन टेक्निकल्स। आई एम नॉट, so I am not trying to compete with them, maybe they are not trying to compete with me. So you have to have your USP very, very clearly know, define it, and then bank on that to actually scale up your team, because वो चीज आपसे कोई नहीं ले जा सके, वो आपकी खुद की है, उस पर कोई भी डाका नहीं डाल सकता। And once you actually master that and work on it, that's where the team stabilize with you like anything. Now, the next thing is it is very important how I build an organizational culture. Now see, building a team, often people ask me, आशीष जी आपका आप किस तरह incentivize करते हो, उसकी एक्सेल शीट क्या है, वो एक्सेल शीट दे दो, कैसे करते हो? People don't stick with so called numbers. एक कल्चर बनाना बहुत जरूरी है, कि इंपॉर्टेंट है कि इस आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का ओवरऑल कल्चर क्या है. व्हेन सी इट्स लाइक मैं घर में मेरी वाइफ को केवल पैसे दे दूं, ये भैया 1 लाख रुपए लो. नो, सी वाइफ डज नॉट ओनली लुक फॉर मनी, शी लुक फॉर योर टाइम, योर सपोर्ट, योर सो मेनी थिंग बियॉन्ड इट. Your spouse, your kid needs beyond money and beyond education fees. देख पापा कैसे बात कर रहे हैं, मिलते हैं कैसे, और चीजें होती है. तो there is a culture in every house, is a culture in every organization. And what is very clear is how much I value them, how much I deal with them. I was there with a distributor in some other city of India. मैं उनके जब ऑफिस गया, तो I found that he used to go, उनका जो वॉशरूम था, आई एम सॉरी बट आई एम यूजिंग, उनका जो वॉशरूम था वो तो उनके केबिन में था, और जो टीम का जो वॉशरूम था वो दे यूज्ड टू गो आउटसाइड इन अ कॉमन वॉशरूम ऑफ द बिल्डिंग. एंड आई वाज लाइक, नो, that's not the way to build an organized culture. आप ये दिखा रहे हो पूरी टीम को कि देखो मैं स्पेशल हूँ और आप मेरे यहाँ काम कर रहे हो. No, that's not the way to build organization culture. You have to have, okay, we all are together, and it is because I am a mentor. आप हम सब में साथ काम कर रहे हैं, but end of the day we all are working for this organization. You are not working for Ashish Modani. You are working for SLA, and SLA is also working for. Ashish is also working for SLA. तो मैं भी वही हूँ जो आप हो. पर वो only thing is I am a senior most RM. तो मेरे साथ और भी RM काम कर रहे हैं. But that ownership, as I said, ownership जो देना होता है ना, वो सब तरीके से देना होता है. एक कल्चर बनना जरूरी होता है जिससे लोग टिकते हैं. And what I'm just trying to say, that surprisingly, I'll tell you one thing: people join you for money, for sure, but they stick for growth and culture, and that's very important. कई बार ऐसा होता है कि किसी एएमसी के फंड बहुत अच्छे टाइम से परफॉर्म नहीं कर रहे हैं, बट वी नो यार ये इसका कल्चर अच्छा है, ये मैनेजमेंट अच्छा है, ये चीजें ओके, देयर मे बी अप एंड डाउन, बट लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड, स्टिक टू दैट एएमसी. we blindly just don't follow the what you call it as कि हम उनका परफॉर्मेंस देखें, बस जो परफॉर्मेंस को भाग जाएंगे. No. So it is, see, I understand that people will join for money because that's a first need, but eventually when they grow up they stick for culture and growth. And important हमारे ये नहीं हो, तो हमें ये देखना जरूरी है, how do we build that right culture, that right growth. And believe me, it is more like understanding behavior finance of investor. So let's understand there is a behavior finance of distributors also. कि हमें वो behaviorally समझना है कि cultural growth क्या है. Second, what I've done is to actually get into autopilot. There are certain processes in my office like query management, data management, paperless. We have gone literally paperless. Everything is gone. Everything is digital. These are all other things that we have to do so that there's a less confusion in the office. There's more smoothness in the office. ये चीजें करनी पड़ी हैं. So that automation helps us to scale up next level. अगर जितने लोग होते हैं, जितने बर्तन होते हैं, उतने बजते भी है. तो बर्तन कम बजे, उसके लिए करना क्या जरूरी है? उनको व्यवस्थित रखो, उनको ensure that they all are kind of well placed. The systems and processes are there, and 80% of my time actually goes into ensuring कि systems है नहीं है, कुछ गड़बड़ तो नहीं रही है, कुछ गड़बड़ होगी तो let's make it to sit on that thing rather than just getting away. Sit on that thing. Where's the problem? Sit and try and see how much can I automate. So technology also adopted. अब जैसे for example, we can't simply say okay transaction लगा देना. No, it doesn't happen there. Or there has to be a very very clearly defined way that if an RM has to give instruction to an SRM कि आपको transaction कैसे लगाना है, so there has to be oneness in that process. If every RM were to do the way he or she wants, then तो organization चल ली. तो आपके पास एक system होना चाहिए. See, there's a lot of things that I can talk on system, but with the given the positive time, I'll just say कि let's work on that autopilot kind of mode. And then now come on to the culture. What are the ingredients of building a team? Communication. I would say it is very very clear that the communication process ऐसा नहीं है कि वो WhatsApp पे बातें हो रही है. the communication, how it's going to go, because if there is a problem in communication, there'll be a problem in the organization. So this, और वो लड़ाई भी उससे होती है, सर मैंने तो उसने कहा, मुझसे मुझे बोला ही नहीं, सर मैं तो उसको कह दिया था, उसने करा ही नहीं, and then they kind of, you know, instead of actually growing as an entrepreneur, we are working as an empire. अच्छा किसने सही किया, किसने गलत किया? No. So let there be clear cut, defined lines of communication, how one process will be followed by another process. तो ये communication होना जरूरी है, clarity of systems and processes होने बहुत जरूरी है. And see, the moment you start to think कि मुझे टीम बनानी है, ये सब चीजें अपने आप ऑटोमेटिकली आने लग जाती हैं. You start to having that more clear thing. Then I would say simplicity हो, जितना आप कॉम्प्लेक्स रखोगे, जितनी चीजों को कॉम्प्लिकेट रखोगे, देखिए जब अकेले काम करो तो कैसे ही कर लो. But when working with a team, you have to have things which are simple. Obviously, it takes time. But having said that, Rome wasn't built in a day. You know, I appreciate a lot of creative innovation in office. You know, there's always a one, you know, team member of the month, so that you know who has actually done the most innovative thing in the office, and appreciate that, because आप कब तक सोचोगे, एक लेवल के बियॉन्ड आपकी बुद्धि बंद हो जाएगी सोचना. So you help other team members to actually experiment, create something, do something. You know, what the PPT that you are seeing is created by one of my, you know, very young team member. I only gave her the points, and she kind of, you know, got everything. So obviously I guided her. So, you know, let that creativity come from the young people, and the younger ones are ones who are very fresh. They have fresh ideas. They are better in technology than us. Help them, motivate them, and encourage them. And more importantly, promote mistakes. मैं अलाउ करता हूं लोग गलतियां करें. देखिए, बेवकूफियां और गलतियों में फर्क होता है. गलतियां बिल्ड करती है फ्यूचर के लिए, और बेवकूफियां डिस्ट्रॉय करती है फ्यूचर के लिए. तो बेवकूफियों पे पिन पॉइंट करो, गलतियों पे नहीं. इंसान से गलती होगी, आप और मैं कौन सी गलती नहीं करते. पर होता क्या है, और जनरली when I say आप और मैं गलती कर देना तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, तो दूसरा गलती कर दे तो भाई साहब बैंड बजा देते हैं. It doesn't work that way. Rather, we must promote mistakes. Okay, good, you have made this mistake. Okay, what have we learned from it? These are the kind of things that you have to build. Maybe very, ठीक है, हो सकता है बहुत ही psychological या फिर बहुत ही subjective चीज है, but believe me, this is what has actually helped me to, you know, have very different. And I actually tell कि भैया मुझे, people will come and talk to me on my face, सर ये आप गलती कर रहे हो. I would welcome them. अच्छी बात है यार, बताओ तो सही क्या गलतियां करी है, मेरी गलती बताओ और अपनी गलती करके बताओ, अच्छा ये गलती हुई है सर. So, you know, these are the things that, you know, help you to elevate to the next level. And as I said, important to build culture, बहुत जरूरी है. And growth. When I say growth, I don't hire an RM with 20,000 rupees and see that how will he make me richer by 40,000. No, I have to start thinking. The moment I hire him for 20,000, I have to start thinking, how will I ensure that his income go up next level? How will I ensure he make more clients? How will I ensure he's more connected with his clients? So I have to ensure his income that goes up. He is not to ensure me कि उसकी income कितने बढ़ेगी. अब वो कई डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर बोलते हैं यार हम वो 15,000 20,000 में रखेंगे, वो कितना कमा के देगा. ये सोच ही गलत है. सोच ये करो, मैं आपको 15-20,000 दे रहा हूँ, उसको 40,000 पे कैसे पहुंचाऊंगा, ये भी मेरी जिम्मेदारी है. Only when you will take that responsibility, that is where you will think like an entrepreneur. Otherwise, nahi. Then don't give them authority. Don't give them just responsibility. Give them authority also. हमारी तकलीफ ये है कि हम उनको केवल वो काम देते हैं जो कि अनइम्पोर्टेंट होते हैं. वो सारे काम जो इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं वो हम देते ही नहीं है. अगर आप दोगे नहीं तो सीखेगा कैसे. हम देना जानते नहीं है यही. लेकिन अगर मेरा बेटा ज्वाइन कर लेना बिजनेस में, मैं उसको अथॉरिटी भी दूंगा, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दूंगा. बट वी डोंट ट्रीट आवर टीम लाइक आवर किड्स. वी ट्रीट देम वेरी वेरी सेपरेट. तुम तो अलग हो जी. अगर आपने ट्रीटमेंट ऐसा नहीं दिया तो वो भी आपके साथ लॉन्ग टर्म कैसे सोचेंगे. So it is important not only to give responsibility, but enable them to take authority. Okay, if this is this 10,000 rupees, you can spend the way you want on client development activities. Take that. You have to ensure, give them the authority. Okay, you can do this. And once you start, okay, this organization means it with values yourself also, वो longevity अपने आप आ जाती है. And obviously it goes training regularly. I need to be trained. I read a lot of books. You know, I'm always inspired by, you know, Brajesh sir, the way he reads so many books. It is important to, you know, create bring a training culture into a system. So in our office, every day, 10 to 10:20, we sit on some hurdle. We sit on something. It can be product, it can be markets, it can be technicals, it can be some technology, it can be anything. But there is something that we learn every day. Something, and that's what people look forward to. It's not only about money, it's about their growth, their self development also. मतलब मेरे ऑफिस का जो ड्राइवर होगा, वो भी उसको भी होना महीने में एक बार आके 20 मिनट के लिए प्रेजेंटेशन देनी होगी. He'll say, okay, मुझे भी देना है. अच्छा, no matter what, he'll start to learn, and that is where things have gone up. So give them the training aspect, teaching them how to train also is also part of my job. And at last, I would say trust. जैसे क्लाइंट एडवाइजरी के बीच में, एडवाइजर क्लाइंट के बीच में हमेशा बोलते हैं, your trust is at most important for future success. If you won't trust, you will not gain. Most of the time what happens is we start with an employee with mistrust. ये तो गलत ही करेगा, ये तो छोड़ के ही जाएगा. नहीं, हो सकता है छोड़ के चल जाए, हो सकता है गलत करे, but you don't start with that. Start with trust. Start with that positive note. I think so it really helps. And these are the few things I thought I'll share, and I have a limited time of 45 minutes. I could probably speak. You can scan this. You want to stay connected with me, you can just have a scan of this QR code, and over to you. I thought Brijesh sir and team that I did justice with the 45 minutes. I can have another 15-20 minutes on Q&A.
Ashish, it was brilliant. Ashish, it was fantabulous. And it was one of the best sessions that we had at Masterstroke. We had a limit of 500. We exhausted the limit today. And many more must have joined for people who left early. Friends, all MFDs, can I request you to give your honest feedback, what you thought? And each 500 of you, right now there are 500 people on the program, and stay with me. Each 500 people, I want you to give your honest feedback about the program. And Ashish, you can read them all. And please stay with me, Ashish, and I will like to say to the audience, sahi guru ko pehchano,